Good evening, brothers and sisters. A happy Juneteenth or Freedom Holiday here in the United States, brought about by the great work of minorities before us, folks who have paved the way, folks who have ensured that we have all civil rights and liberties, freedom, emancipation. America's history is founded on that foundation. And to our hats off and a salute to all those who stood and fought the battles before us. Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, John Lewis. The field is plenty. Marcus Garvey, Jamaican American. And you have Shirley Chisholm, who has Guyanese Barbadian ancestry. These are all great and wonderful folks who have paved the way for us and have made things possible. And we want to spend this day talking about how are the rights, and want to get a little bit into how these rights must always be upheld, the rights of minorities, the rights of people who are different, because there's an institutional systematic racism and marginalization of people of color in the United States and in many other countries. And that leaves a lot to be desired. So we as minorities must stand together, united in purpose, united in strength, and ensure that we have a better America, a better example to the world, because this is the greatest nation on earth at this point in time. But it was not always like that. And we came here and we fought and built on the backs of others. And for them, and to say thank you, and our gratitude extends to you. And we celebrate Freedom Day with you, which is celebrated here in the United States. I want to talk a little bit about the Adrianna Younge, a development that bothers me. As you know, I was the youngest state prosecutor, senior state counsel, police legal advisor, and magistrate appointed in Guyana's history. And I've had a stellar career there. I took the hard cases, the murder cases, the violent cases, the kick down the door bandits, all these cases where people lost their lives. You have murders, body in the bush. With Larry Haynes, I did the shallow grave murder. I did conspiracies, all these terrible cases, treason, and so forth. So I was also the political advisor. I served in a time with legendary police officers. As police, I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into whatever problems or ills they may have had, but these men did their work professionally as policemen. They came and they always sought legal advice, then just go down a road without consulting the Director of Public Prosecutions and me as a police legal advisor. And if I had issues, then I would consult with Mr. George Jackman, who was then the Deputy DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, just like the U.S. Attorney here, or the District Attorney, or with Mr. Manuel Ramon. And we always researched and gave advice that was correct with the law. And the law is simply this. I had folks like Skip Roberts, Assistant Commissioner Vernon Gentle. I also had folks like Ignatius McCrae. Also had people like Tyndall for the fraud squad. You had people like Commissioner Eustace. I don't remember his last name now, but in another program I'll tell you about him. Firearms expert. We had fingerprint experts. We had all these great people there. Though the technology was limited, there was always an adherence to the law, to respect, and to the public. When I hear the police commissioner and the crime chief right now depriving a young family of the entire autopsy report, then that is a problem. Why is that a problem? Because that should be made public. That is what is causing confusion. And as police officers and as people in charge of law and order and public justice, you must understand that you're bound by the law. No one is above the law. And I understand Guyana has its own its own system there that leaves much to be desired as regards law enforcement. You should consult with the DPP and find out why these, and make a decision to release the autopsy reports. Why say that? Your other evidence also? I understand you may not want to release that since it's an ongoing investigation, but you had a person come there, Leonard McCluskey, or whatever his name is, Royal Mountain Police investigator, retired. Leonard McCushan, retired RCMP investigator. He did not investigate. All he did was to read the file that the police had compiled. How can you say you're an investigator and you're just rehashing and reading from the same enclosed file? You didn't take further statements. You didn't take further evidence. You didn't interview the hotel owner, the son, the employees with their timesheets, the people around there, the people in the pool, the 18 relatives, the grandmother, all the mom, the dad, all these people need to be interviewed. How can you get, and the assistant commissioner and all the ranks there, how can you get to the bottom of this if you don't interview them? So you are just rubber stamping the police file, which a police file at this point in time is suspect. It is suspect because you had an assistant commissioner and the police force there at Tushan send the folks on a wild goose chase. They said that Adrianna Younge had left in a vehicle and they couldn't. They called off the search, like going into the pool. They deprived the relatives of justice and for answers to their missing daughter. And that is the epitome of injustice, insult, and malpractice. That is police malpractice. You cannot do that, especially in a case that has caught and gripped the attention of Guyanese all over the world and people all over the world, not only Guyana, across the Caribbean, in America, United States, United Kingdom. There were 4 autopsies done here, including one in the United States. And also because the relatives requested a particular pathologist, you should make the report final. You should make it final, you should complete it, and you should have it sent to Dr. Terry to complete her findings, and you should also issue to the public before the death or the burial of Adrianna Younge, which I understand is going to come up in a few days. You have a duty to society. You have a duty to upholding the rule of law. You have a duty to uphold the due process of law. Being a police officer in Guyana should no longer be seen as a privileged and autocratic and magisterial position. No, you're servants of the people. You're creatures of statute. And you must follow the law, because in my time as police legal advisor, as a director of public prosecutions, third in command in the director of public prosecutions after George Jackman and Emmanuel Ramon and Ian Chang, as they moved up, I moved up also. And having done the experience in the courtrooms and know the feeling of people when these crimes are done and they don't get answers, you're doing a disservice to the country, to your nation, and the integrity of the Guyana police force, which has lost a lot of its credibility. So it's time to stop this nonsense, release the post-mortem, and release it now. That is my simple advice to you as someone who has sat in the chair as police legal advisor for many years and who was in charge of all criminal indictments that were brought in Guyana. Thank you very much. Just as elected District Leader Albert BALDEO, the largest diaspora, many folks here have asked me to make this video to air their views, and it is on their behalf as my constituents that I'm airing the views as elected District Leader of Region 11 of the largest diaspora outside of the Caribbean here in the United States. Thank you, and may God bless you. Good night. Good night.